Hey, what's up? It's your boy Serrano. Welcome back to another video. So today I have the Samsung Galaxy A16 5G on the left, and I have the Samsung Galaxy A05s on the right. Now, these are two budget phones that I definitely think are pretty cool when it comes to messing around with these, and they're actually really low cost phones that you could actually pick up right now. So yeah, I want to do a comparison. I want to talk about the battery, the build quality, the performance, the cameras, the sound quality, and just kind of, compare these phones in every aspect when it comes to the software, as well as the security updates and OS updates. But if you're brand new to the channel, I truly appreciate you for coming through. Make sure you stay locked in to the end of the video because I'm going to be going through all of that plus some more, and just kind of, comparing these phones side by side and letting you know what I think. But if you're brand new to the channel, I truly appreciate you for coming through if you're new. But if you're already a part of the crew, salute. All right, guys, so we're going to jump into both of these phones and kind of compare them. First thing I want to talk about is obviously the unboxing experience, which you're going to get both these phones in a very slim box. The A05s has plastic inside, so they're not too keen on the recyclable materials yet, but the phone does come in a cardboard box. Also, it does house the cable for charging. And both of these phones do charge at 25 watts, and they both have 5,000 milliamp per hour batteries. So this one actually pops open. This is the A16, and this has all cardboard and recyclable materials inside. So you're gonna get the same exact thing in this one with the SIM remover tool right there. And then you're also gonna get your cable, which is type C to type C. So yeah, they basically have the same unboxing experience when it comes to taking these phones out of the packaging, except for the fact that the A05s is going to be basically still giving you those plastic materials, whereas you're getting all cardboard inside of the A16. So let's take a look at these in a little bit more detail when it comes to the bodies. So one thing I noticed is that there is a lot more scratches on my A16, and that's because the material on the back is like a mimic or imitation glass material. So it's very glossy. It also attracts more fingerprints than the A05s, which is more, I would say, matted and smooth with less gloss, which is going to attract less fingerprints. So I actually have this in the silver color, which looks really beautiful to say the least. And I have this one in the kind of like navy blue color. So they both look really good. You can see that they both have very similar camera designs with that layout. So it almost looks like a street lamp or like the yellow, green, and red light when you're actually like driving in a car. That's what this camera system looks like. It kind of reminds me of. So when it comes to the weight, both of these phones do feel pretty similar in the weight department. So when it comes to the weight and build, you're gonna notice that the A16 is gonna be 200 grams, whereas the A05s is gonna be 194 grams. And they both are made of plastic materials. So let's take a look on the side, and you're going to notice that both of these phones do have a side mounted fingerprint sensor with the volume rocker right above it. The only difference is that you're going to get this raised up lip where the two buttons meet right here on the A16, allowing you to indicate where those buttons are separated. So this is just an all flat design. You can kind of feel the fingerprint and power button right here. And I think that's pretty cool. So let me get out of here. And then, yeah, so let me unlock this one, put my pin in here because I want to unlock it. And I just updated this one to the February 2024 security patch. So it's now resetting and booting up. So the A05s is a little bit thicker, when it comes to the overall, um, you know, um, depth. You can see it's a little bit more thicker. The cameras lay a little bit more flat on the A05s, whereas they kind of pop out a little bit more on the A16. So when it sits flat on the table, the A05s is going to be more plush on the table, creating less of a uneven feel. So more even on a flat surface. Now, when it comes to the materials, way smoother on the A05s, I'm noticing, whereas you get that glossy, you know, sticky, not sticky, but it definitely feels like glass on the A16, and it will attract more fingerprints, whereas the A05s won't attract any fingerprints. Now, we also do get SIM card expansion on both, and they both have dual SIM support with GSM. So you can get dual SIMs on both of these devices, which is actually pretty cool. And then they're both going to give you different displays, which I'll jump into in a little bit more detail. The other thing is you do get a microphone at the top of both phones, and you do get a headphone jack is one thing that you get on the A05s, where you don't get that on the A16. And you also do get single firing speakers on both of these with Type-C charging. And then, yeah, the 25 watts fast charging will be supported wired, and you do get 5,000 milliamp hour batteries on both. So yeah, I definitely think that's going to be a solid feature when it comes to both of these smartphones as far as the build quality. So one thing about these phones is they're both very economical, but one of the major differences is going to be the display. Samsung went with a Super AMOLED panel when it comes to the A16, so you're actually getting a very premium display on the A16, whereas it's a Super AMOLED 90 Hz display. And then on the A05s, you're actually getting a PLS PLS LCD display. So let me show you what the fingerprint looks like when we unlock them. 1, 2, 3. Let's do that again. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. And so, you know, let's look at the displays and turn the brightness all the way up so I can show you the displays and the differences between the colors. They do both have about the same amount of bezel, and they both share a similarity when it comes to the punch hole at the top. You will see a deeper punch hole cut out on the A16 where it extends a little bit lower, whereas a less aggressive punch hole on the A05s. Another thing that I noticed is that we don't actually have this slide out feature on the A05s. If you go here, you won't find the sidebar. So yeah, you won't get that multitasking feature, which I really do like. And let me show you right now. Go into display, and you will see, here it is, edge panels. You're not going to be able to get that on the A05s. But yeah, it does also give you the 90 Hertz smoothness when it comes to scrolling. So I think that's going to be a major, you know what I'm saying, good feature when it comes to the A05s. Now, both of these phones are slippery. You can see it just slipped out of my hand. You get a little bit more grip on the A16 just because it has a grippier back, whereas this one is a little bit more slippery. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that it does feel way more slippery on the A05s than it does on the A16. So I kind of like that grippiness of the A16 with the glass material. But yeah, this thing does scratch easy, and you will see some nicks and scrapes on there when you're messing around with it. You will kind of scratch it a little bit easier. As far as the overall software on both of these devices, both of these phones are rocking Android 6.1, the One UI 6.1 with Android 14. And both of these phones, the A16 actually has January 1st right here. And the 05s has February 2025, February. So the A16 will have the January right now. Let's check for updates. Let's check for updates and see if we do get any updates with the A16 right now, because it's actually on January, not February, but the A05s is actually on February. So yeah, it's still on January right now. So just want to mention that the updates are pretty good on the A05s when it comes to staying up to date. Still waiting for the February security patch to hit on the A16. So as far as the overall usability, both of these phones do feel really smooth when scrolling through multiple apps. I feel like the A05s will give you a slightly better less lag on the A05s because it has a Snapdragon processing chip versus the one that we're getting right here on the A16. The Exynos 1330. So yeah, I just wanted to show you how some of the apps will open if we're comparing them side by side. Play Store 1, 2, 3. That was the A16. Let's do Google 1, 2, 3. That was the A16. Let's do YouTube 1, 2, 3. That looked like the A16 again. So you're gonna see a slightly better performance. Let's do the Bible app when it comes to the A05s. I don't think I have it installed actually. So we're gonna jump into, I don't know. Let's do the calendar app, 1, 2, 3. That was like almost a tie, but it looked like it was faster on the A16. Let's do Facebook, 1, 2, 3. And that slightly faster on the A16 right there again. And let's do IG, 1, 2, 3. And again, slightly faster or much faster on the A16. So yeah, you can see the performance a little bit better on the A16 when it comes to app opening. So let's compare the displays on both of these. All right, so let's go ahead and hit the play button. Let me turn the volume down. We're gonna do a speaker test right after this. Then we're also gonna do a gaming test and kind of test out the performance on both chipsets. But we do get the Snapdragon on the A05s versus the Exynos 1330 on the A16. So let's hit play and turn the horizontal mode. And right here, you're gonna notice the colors and stuff like that compared side by side. Does look like the phone on the A16 is a little bit wider. So you get a wider aspect ratio on the A16, whereas the A05s is a little bit more slimmer in the hand. They both go up to 1080 60 frames per second. So you can get an idea that right here, the AMOLED panel is a bit brighter, definitely a bit brighter. When it comes to the colors, they're gonna pop a little bit more, but I did notice that on the PLS LCD display, it wasn't bad at all, but it's just not gonna be as bright as it is on the A16. So yeah, I do like the enormous amount of detail. You can see that the PLS LCD display on the right offers a bigger picture, like things just look bigger, appear bigger. And I don't mind that at all. I think they both look super gorgeous. They both have 6.7-inch displays. With the A16, you're gonna get 86% screen to body ratio. And with the A05s, you're gonna get 82.9 screen to body ratio. And the 1080 by 2400 on the A05 versus the 1080 2340 on the A16. So with the A05s, you're gonna get 393 pixels per inch. And on the A16, you're gonna get 385 pixels per inch. All right, so what this all means is that you're gonna get pretty much a brighter display on the A16. Is gonna be a lot brighter when it comes to looking at it to the naked eye, which is the main difference for me. Both of them have great colors. Both of them look good and have good viewing angles. You'll get a lot better viewing angles on the AMOLED panel right here in the A16, whereas the viewing angles on the A05s won't be as good because it's using the LCD display, which isn't going to give you as bright of colors, but it still looks really good when it comes to looking at social media and watching videos on there. Now they're both going to offer the triple camera setup. The A05s is going to give you a 50 megapixel wide, a 2 megapixel macro, a 2 megapixel depth, as well as an LED flash that can record at 60, 30 frames per second. 60 frames per second and 30 frames per second when you're recording in 1080. You also do get 1080 30 frames per second with HD gyro electronic image stabilization on the A16, so it's better for video. But you actually get the 50 megapixel ultra wide, the 50 megapixel wide angle on the A16, as well as the ultra wide 5 megapixel, and then the depth sensor on the A16. So both have really good setups, and they both offer the 13 megapixel main camera. So yeah, I'll do some camera samples in just a second, but I wanted to show you guys what the audio sounds like on both of these devices as well. All right, so we're gonna test out the audio quality on the A05s first. Let's put it all the way up.
NCB exclusive.
So that's the A05s. I'm actually gonna do the A16 right now too, and give you an idea what that sounds like right now. Okay, so it sounds a little bit more clear, and a little bit more crisp.
NCB exclusive.
But very comparable. A little bit more punchy with bass. So yeah, the A16 goes in the audio box. Do me a favor, if you're still here, just type in the comment section right now. I'm still here, so I know you're still kicking it with me. And I just want to remind you to hit the like button so we can get this video out to more people and help beat the YouTube algorithm. Now I'm going to jump into the gaming performance on both of these devices. So I'm loading up Call of Duty Mobile on both of these devices. It seems like the A16 did open it faster, but just by a little bit. So let's actually play the both of these devices using Call of Duty Mobile and see which one actually has better graphics here. And let's just take a look at the graphics. It does give us medium and very high and a frame rate available, but it only defaults to the low one. But you can actually put it on medium. Changes will take effect and when you enter your next match. So you get very high right there and medium, or you can get high, but it actually defaults to the low one when I do that. So what I'm gonna do is hit, yeah, it does that every single time. So let's just get out of here, but let's mess around with this real fast, kind of test it out. Gameplay looks pretty good too. And I'm using my SMX M15 controller.
Changing mag.
Let me rescue my guy right here. It actually feels pretty good. Feels pretty smooth so far. When it comes to the Call of Duty. I actually ran out of ammo.
Great work, people. Zone A is in the bag. The mission isn't over yet.
Okay, my bad. I was actually gaming with the A05s, and what I noticed was it did a pretty decent job. It does use the Snapdragon 680 processing chip, and the 684G, which is actually pretty good. So yeah, it did deliver some pretty decent gaming, but I want to test out the A16 now, because that's the one I thought I was using, but when I turned them over, that wasn't the case. So that's my fault. But yeah, the A05s I would say it's able to play, you know, Call of Duty Mobile, but you will see some choppiness every now and then, and it's not going to be like the highest grade when it comes to the graphics, but overall it did a pretty decent job when gaming on here. All right, so let's test out the graphics right now on the A16. This is the A16, and go to graphics. This is actually on medium and very high. So this one actually gives you way better graphics right here. So you can set that as the default. And let's go back. You could definitely see it's a lot smoother on this one, on the A16. So yeah, I give them credit on this one when it comes to the A16. It definitely looks a little bit better. I did notice a drop frame while it was loading. Speakers sound pretty loud as well. Okay, so yeah, graphics do feel a little bit better on the A16 when it comes to comparing both of these processing chips. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is software and overall storage. So you're going to be getting 128 4 gigabytes of RAM on the A05s. You're going to be getting 256 with the 4 gigabytes of RAM on the with extra, you know, virtual RAM on the A16. So if you go into device care, which I'm going to show you right now, you can go in there and it'll show you right here that we actually have 128 on both of these devices when it comes to the storage. And if I go into device care right here, you can see the memory. Both of them have 4 gigabytes of memory to mess around with. So yeah, very similar when it comes to this batteries as well as the storage. They're going to be very similar when it comes to that aspect. So you can see that they both share the same exact internal storage. And if you go into memory right here, you're going to see that they both offer very similar memory too. You get the RAM plus on both of these advanced features. You also do have a lot of, you know, the one-handed mode, motions and gestures. There's going to be a lot more on the A16. You do get double tap to wake and, turn on and turn off on both. But this one has the lift to wake, the alert when pick up, the mute when gestures, and the palm to capture, whereas the A05s, it's not built in right there. And then the other thing is that if you go into labs, they're both going to offer the multi-window for all apps. But just keep in mind, you won't get the pop-up windows for this one. So yeah, you actually do get the pop-up windows for both. So all you have to do is activate it right here and you will have pop-up windows for both that you can actually activate. So yeah, I definitely think that's going to come in handy. Really sussy when it came to this dude's defense on LeBron. That's crazy. All right, so let's take a look at the scrolling experience. Mellow, inducted into the Hall of Fame. You can see that the colors on the A05s are really good. It has good whites. I like the whites on the 05s. It's a little bit more of a yellow tint on the A16. Y'all remember Lisa Ray? She was a baddie in her prime. I don't know what they're talking about. More gossip in the latest and greatest. Player of the year goes to Juju Watkins. So shout out to her. And hopefully a fast recovery on that ACL injury she had a few weeks ago. That was crazy. But yeah, she definitely deserved that award because she was crushing it when it came to, you know, the women's basketball. So shout out to her. And yeah, as far as the experience when it comes to scrolling, both feel really good when it comes to scrolling. There she is right there with a message. Let's turn that up.
I want to sincerely thank Naismith for this amazing recognition. This is truly special, and I feel so blessed to be selected amongst some of the best in the game. I want to thank my teammates, coaches, and the staff.
So it looks like Anthony Edwards got injured, but he's back in the game, it says. So that was kind of crazy to read real fast. And both of these get really loud when it comes to the speakers. So when I definitely think that it's a little bit more tinny on the A05s. And this dude is truly amazing when it comes to talent. He's able to compete with dudes with 2 arms, and he only has 1 arm. And he has crazy hops. So yeah, social media looks really good on both of these devices. And you won't be disappointed when it comes to either one. So let's jump into the cameras, and then we'll wrap up the video. But let's go into the camera app, and I'll show you the features that we have. So we both have portrait. We both have, there's a 13 megapixel on the A05s versus the 12 on the A16. If I click right here, we both get the 50 megapixel camera option right there. Going into the video, 60 frames per second on the A05s, where you only get 30 frames per second on the A16. But if you go into more, you can see that they both have the same exact features right here when it comes to the videos capabilities. And then if I go into the videos right here in the settings, one of the things you're going to notice is that we do have on the A16, we do for the videos, it does give us video stabilization, but we actually don't get that on the A05s. So let me go to 30 frames per second and see if it gives us the video stabilization on 30 frames per second. And yeah, you don't get video stabilization on the A05s. So I just kind of wanted to mention that. But let's take a quick photo real quick, side by side. Skin complexions are better on the A16 because he does have a tan. On the A05s, it's showing a lighter complexion than what I'm able to see to my naked eye. Get 4 years of, actually 6 years of OS updates on the A16 and 6 years of security patches. So you will be getting much more updates on the A16 versus the A05s is going to get Android 16 or 15, my bad, which is the last update, and then 4 years. So after it get Android 15, it's going to get 2 more years of security patches after that, and then it's end of life. So if you were into updates, I would definitely go with the A16. But if you were into you know, the 60 frames per second on the camera, headphone jack, you weren't too crazy about the AMOLED panel, this phone will do just fine. You will be missing out some features, but you do get, you know, I think you get NFC on both of these devices. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, you do get NFC on both devices. And they do offer Dolby Atmos when it comes to using Bluetooth and on both of these devices. So they will both offer Bluetooth audio as well on here. So you won't get smart view mirror screen on the A05s, but you will get that on the A16 if you are the type of person who likes to watch videos like Amazon Prime, Netflix, you know, HBO Max, you know, things like that, Disney, Apple TV. I think you will be able to connect this one to more compatible smart TVs, whereas this one you won't have the ability to actually do you actually need like a Roku or something like that to connect it to a smart TV. But hopefully you guys did find this video helpful. If you're still here, just type down in the comment section, I'm still here. So I know you're still kicking it with me. And I just want to remind you to hit the like button so we can get this video out to more people. and beat the YouTube algorithm. I'll hit you back. I'll check you guys later. Namaste.